At 7:55 a.m. on Sunday, December 7th, 1941, the Japanese Imperial Navy launched a surprise military strike on the U.S. naval base at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. The first wave of 183 Japanese aircraft targeted battleships, airfields, and infrastructure all across the island of Oahu. A second wave of 170 planes followed shortly after, and in total, over 300 aircraft were involved in the attack. More than 2,000 Americans were killed, including military personnel and civilians. The attack also destroyed and damaged nearly 350 US aircraft, and multiple cruisers, destroyers, and battleships in the harbor. On the morning of December 8th, President Franklin D. Roosevelt requested a formal declaration of war against Japan. His declaration was approved within hours. 3 days later, on December 11th, Germany and Italy, allies of Japan, declared war on the United States. In response, the United States passed resolutions declaring war on both Germany and Italy the same day. The United States was now involved in a global conflict on two major fronts, the Pacific and Europe. What began as a Pacific naval crisis had escalated into full participation in the Second World War. On July 26, 1945, the leaders of the Allies met in Potsdam, Germany. President Truman, in the Potsdam Declaration, called for the unconditional surrender of Japan and warned of prompt and utter destruction if the Japanese government did not comply. The declaration made no mention of the atomic bomb. Japan did not respond. The bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki marked the first and only use of nuclear weapons in war. In Hiroshima, approximately 70,000 to 80,000 people were killed instantly from the explosion, but by the end of 1945, the number had risen to 140,000. In Nagasaki, about 40,000 people were killed on the first day, and over 70,000 by the end of the year. Most of the victims were civilians, men, women, and children. Thousands more would die in the months and years that followed due to burns, injuries, and radiation-related illnesses. Many victims were never identified. Entire families disappeared, and whole neighborhoods were erased. On September 2nd, 1945, Japan surrendered, and World War II came to an end. But the debate over how it ended, through the deaths of over 200,000 civilians, was just beginning. Some called it justified, others called it unnecessary. However, this wouldn't be the last time the United States would face the choice between retaliation and restraint after an attack. I had one On the morning of September 11th, 2001, 4 commercial airplanes were hijacked by members of the terrorist group Al-Qaeda. 2 of them were flown into the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in New York City. Within hours, both towers had collapsed. Nearly 3,000 people were killed, including civilians, first responders, and passengers. It was the deadliest terrorist attack on US soil. And just like before, the question was, how would America respond? On October 7th, 2001, the United States launched airstrikes in Afghanistan targeting Al-Qaeda and the Taliban. It marked the beginning of the War on Terror, a global military campaign that would last over 2 decades. The initial mission was to eliminate those responsible. But as the war expanded, so did the toll on civilians. In Afghanistan, over 46,000 civilians were killed. And in Iraq, the number exceeded 200,000. It was a retaliation, again. But at what cost? In both cases, the United States responded with overwhelming force. And in both cases, hundreds of thousands of lives, mostly civilians, were lost as a result. We remember what was done to us, but we must also remember what we did to others.